So my presentation is on the artist Do-Ho Suh, and the presentation is by me, Sam Brower. So Do-Ho Suh was born in Seoul, South Korea, and initially studied traditional Korean painting at Seoul National University, which is the picture here. He later moved to the United States to pursue further studies at the Rhode Island School of Design and Yale University, where he focused on sculpture. Suh's move to the US significantly impacted his artistic practice, leading him to explore themes of displacement and the meaning of home. Suh explains that he had a hard time sleeping in the noise of New York and thought back to his last good sleep, which was in his home in South Korea, his childhood home. And that helped inspire his works and his focus on homes, and specifically recreating his childhood home. His early sculptures often involved recreating his former homes using fabric, creating what he calls suitcase homes that are portable and can be installed in various locations. Suh utilizes traditional Korean sewing techniques along with his 3D modeling and mapping technologies to ensure the accuracy of his structures and architecture, which was a focus of his as well. His sculptures are often made of translucent fabric like nylon or silk, allowing for a very ethereal and almost like dreamlike quality of his pieces. And Do-Ho Suh also has a focus on using fabrics because he believes preserving textures of everyday life is not a priority in society, which he tries to compensate for with his works, which I thought was very interesting. So next slides, I want to discuss why I think Do-Ho Suh is a great artist. The exploration and ability to take a simple object or concept, such as a house, and to reimagine and rework the structure, so much so that the entire idea is transformed and elevated into an entirely new experience, is the first reason I personally argue that Do-Ho Suh is a great artist. Solely focusing on his exhibit titled Walk the House, which is the image I'm presenting here, that was displayed at the Tate. Do-Ho Suh's use of material, and for me the color choice, gives the pieces such like an ethereal aesthetic, or like ghostly sort of like presence. Speaking on the color choices, I noticed in this exhibit that Do-Ho Suh utilizes mainly like off hues or tones of primary colors, and never like the main like bold blue, yellow, reds. Like they're always like the tones or shades are like never the main ones, which I thought was very interesting. And he uses bright saturated colors such as the lightest pinks, greens, and yellows, and blues, which to me gives it a very, for me at least, like a very positive and like fun palette to look at. And I thought they were kind of like elevated birthday party colors almost. His decision to have silk fabric become translucent also adds to the otherworldly aspect of the houses and rooms, which I really liked. I can only get glimpses of the experience from the images, but Do-Ho Suh like wholeheartedly engages his audience by having the rooms and like architecture be able to be walked through, like to experience them and engage the audience that way. My absolute favorite kind of art experience are walkthroughs and like art that I can physically engage with and touch. One of the reasons for this is when I was a kid, I used to go to this park and it had this like giant pyramid structure that was completely made of like tires that you could like crawl through, and there was like tunnels in it. And it was just really awesome. I didn't realize at the time, but it like that structure was most likely like an art installation. But since then, I always lean towards, and like eventually, I want to create like art that people can physically engage with, because I think it's really fun, and I think people need fun. I believe Do-Ho Suh's personal history and his use of elements from his past is very inspired and helps me to relate to his work, or relate the work back to the artist in a very like very linear and easy way that doesn't detract from the art. For me, sometimes I'm of the opinion that the less I know about the artist and art, like the more I get out of the viewing experience. And a lot of times that's how I want my art to be experienced, like just no background whatsoever, because I don't want to like taint people's interpretation of it. But where was I? But yeah, when it comes to artists such as like Dohosa and knowing the inspiration and like the history and his vision, and especially like his material choice and how he wants to like preserve textures, I think it really aids in my like enjoyment of his work, because I think that like preserving the textures was never something I really thought about, but I thought that was really cool and probably important. I really connect with Suh's treatment of architecture as a pathway or portal, and how his installations often invite viewers to physically engage with the space. If I'm ever at a point where I'm creating big sculptures or installations, I want them to be experienced by the public, because I think it always adds to the environment and the scene. And Dohosa like highlights how our interactions with different spaces, both like physical and metaphorical, and like your memories and connecting back to them, really shaped our identities and perceptions, which I personally found to be very refreshing and uplifting. And these are the citations.